Thank you for waiting. I know you've been here a while.
Well, welcome everybody, and I am beyond excited to speak to the amazing Amy Poehler, who's one of my favorite entertainers and just people in general, and now, honestly, one of my favorite authors. Like, I loved her new book, Yes, Please.
Thank you.
So let's start there. I mean, what inspired you at this point in your life to write this book, and what are you hoping readers take away from it?
I wrote it because somebody asked me to, and I said, yes, please, I will do it. No, I was interested in writing a book from the middle. You know, there's a lot of books with people looking back on their lives and their long history, and also young people kind of on the precipice of their lives. And I was interested in telling a story from like the thick, soupy, hectic but flavorful middle. And I didn't really want it to be a straight-up memoir because I kind of don't like anybody knowing my business, so it's kind of hard to write about it. Sure. But I wanted it to be a collection of thoughts and stories and essays and personal stories, and so it was, and have a bit of an improvisational feel in its structure.
Yeah, I love that about it. Now, you do a lot of self-reflection in this book. Did you learn anything new about your own self in the experience of writing it?
I did. I learned that I learned that you shouldn't read other people's books while you're writing a book.
Okay.
Because you want to kill yourself. I learned that I'm really on to myself, for better or for worse. I cannot luxuriate in denial about why I do things anymore. Thankfully, because of I like to think, my life experience and good therapy. So I don't have that luxury anymore. So it doesn't mean necessarily it changes any of my behavior. It just means that I'm I'm fully aware of the bullshit I'm trying to pull.
Mm-hmm. Always a good thing. Yeah. Why is it called Yes, Please?
I say in the book that it's called Yes, Please because yes is a word I like very much, and I've said throughout my life, and it's kind of got me to where I am, I think. It's an improv term, and it's a way of jumping into things without quite knowing how they're going to work. And the please is because now that I'm older, I realize that you kind of can't do it alone, and you don't do it alone. And so the please is my attempt to, my sacrifice to the gods. And it's also just a nice title for my children to say.
Now, you work in so many different mediums. You're a writer, you're an actress, you're a director, you're a producer, comedians. Is there one hat that you wear that feels most comfortable or that you find the most fulfilling, or is it all sort of like equal opportunity?
I mean, at the end of the day, I just define myself as a professional breakdancer, and that's where I feel that's my zone. And the other stuff just feels like a real fun hobby. I don't know. I mean, I like doing all those things. It's really fun to try those different things. And right now, writing and producing and directing is turning me on a little bit more than acting. But I'm very lucky to have been able to and I feel excited about the taking up all that space. I write a little bit about it in the book, but as women especially, we're kind of, the thing that keeps you away from doing things sometimes is just your fear of the unknown and your lack of knowledge about the actual vocabulary of things. Mm-hmm. That's what powerful people do. They talk in code, mm-hmm. So you think you can't understand it. And then you're like, oh, I know how to do this. I just didn't know the right words for it. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy that I know the words for a lot of those things, and I feel good being in the room and powerful being in the room, which is cool.
Mm-hmm. And how would you describe your creative process, and what inspires you?
What inspires me is a deadline.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
My creative process is hellish. I wanted to write about how people tend to treat writing real austerity. You know, there's just like a lot of like, I dressed for writing and, you know, I went to my writing spot. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is a nightmare. I mean, writing is a nightmare. It's just the hardest, just hacking away. You know, anytime people make hard things seem easy, unless you're improvising or something, you're doing a disservice in a way, because everything, you know, hard work is hard work. Like, you got to really work. So to get to your question, my creative process is a lot of stomping around and huffing and puffing and being upset that I said yes to something, and the deadline is looming, and it's just out of like the doing of it. And I wrote about it in the book that I realized that the talking about something is not the thing. The doing is the thing. The doing is the thing. So the way you do the thing is you just have to do the thing.
I never thought of it that way. Yeah. Also, do you have any people that inspire you? Do you have any role models or mentors that really helped guide you?
Yeah, I mean, I look towards right now older people who are older than me, older women especially, who have navigated motherhood and in a career and a sense of self, and I lean on them quite a bit. And most of them aren't famous, you know, they're just people that I know in my life. But I'm at a time now in my life where I'm really interested in people older than me who have something to share with me about how they did it. Because you young people are obsessed with robots, and you're going to die at their hands. And I should have opened this by saying I think the internet is a terrible idea. I forgot to say that up front. I think the internet is a disaster. It's killing us all.
Now, on the other side of the spectrum, speaking of young people, you have this amazing series that I'm actually a big fan of, Smart Girls at the Party, that you developed with two of your friends, and an online hub and a web series. What was your motivation for launching Smart Girls?
Well, honestly, like a lot of things, my motivation was just kind of selfish in that I wanted to do a web series, a show that maybe I would have watched when I was younger, and also I wanted to just talk to young girls. I like being around them, even though I was joking that you're all web obsessed, but I feel very energized and optimistic when I'm around young people, young women especially. And I wanted to just start like a Charlie Rose style interview show for girls where I talked to them about their kind of day to day, but I treated it as seriously as we do all of our actresses and politicians and other wackadoos that we think are important, and just celebrate the everyday, the you know, like the non-famous part of life. And then that started to grow into other programs, and now we're relaunching, and it's an attempt to, I don't know, to just do something funny and also like sneakily empowering, and to celebrate the curious person, the young curious person, and just to maybe for Smart Girls to become a home where people can go to first thing in the morning that doesn't make them feel like shit. If that makes any sense.
Now, I have two daughters, so I can appreciate that.
Oh, good.
The motto of Smart Girls is change the world by being yourself. And when you think about that, that seems like should be sort of an obvious thing, you know, this ability to be ourselves. Why do you think that's so hard in our society? And is that something that came easily to you? From reading your book, I feel like you always did have a very strong sense of yourself.
Thank you. I don't know if that's true. I think it was something I had to work on, but truly, and I think, you know, I say in my book, like I'm about 10 or 15% there, which I think is really good progress.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think vulnerability is power. I'm interested in the open-faced sandwiches of the world. You know, I'm less drawn to the people that obfuscate and are withholding and kind of tricky for no reason, just not my bag. So I like vulnerable, open people, and I think when you're that way, you're actually being very brave, and you by presenting the real truth of yourself, who you really are, then you change the molecules in the room, and then then the temperature goes down. I don't know how it works.
Now, I find, especially with your book, which was this blend of, it was funny, but it was also, it was deep. There was, there was wisdom in there. There was, sort of, snuck in. But I was wondering, first of all, what role humor has played in your life and work, but also how it felt. People think of you as being funny. To reveal this, sort of serious, deep side of you, was that scary? Was it cathartic?
I was excited to do it. I feel like I get to do it a little bit in my acting, like on Parks and Recreation. My favorite part of working on that show is the pathos, the fine line between, sad and funny, and I love that line. Yeah. I'm a real sucker for it. And I was excited about going deep in that way and not nervous about it. And I kind of felt like if people knew me, they maybe sensed that was something they might get or like, and just tried to balance that with, jokes about, Justin Timberlake. But it is kind of, I don't know, humor is constantly this friend that I get to bring along for the ride, and it always, and I talk about in the book how I think when you go from crying to laughing fast, it like adds years to your life. So I love those moments that are just like you're so sad and then somebody says something and it makes you laugh so hard, and then you're laughing so hard and someone says something and you're just like crying. Yeah. Yeah. Don't you? No?
Now, you, of course, famously played Hillary Clinton during her first presidential run on Saturday Night Live. Assuming she runs again, or if she runs again, would that be something that you would be interested or up for doing again? And what was your favorite part of playing Hillary?
Well, I will say that, political figures, you don't get to kind of take them with you after you do them on SNL. So Vanessa Bayer and Kate McKinnon, I think they both played Hillary, so I'm sure they'll continue to do that and knock it out of the park because the women on SNL are fierce. What was fun about playing her and playing, two things. We were doing it during a time when everybody was paying attention to politics, which is very rare. It was like a sporting event because the race was so close and young people were so engaged. And also, I felt like I had the opportunity to say almost what I think she probably wished she would get to say, which is really fun to play like the id of someone who's just so tired of all the shit, but they can't say anything. That's really fun to play.
Yeah.
It's like, and who does that really well in a new and different way is like Key and Peele. They do that, right? Where they get to like say what Obama like wants so badly to say. I kind of, in my own version, tried to do that with Hillary. No,
I thought it was fantastic. It was one of my favorite parts about that whole season was watching you and Tina Fey. There's a lot of talk right now about celebrities coming out as feminists, and also talk about whether that is even a good thing for feminism to become trendy, or whether that dilutes its meaning.
Oh, I want to talk to you about this.
Oh, good, because I really want to talk to you about this. I want to know how you feel about that, and also, do you consider yourself a feminist and what that means to you?
I just should say I'm going to take this moment to plug your website, feminist.com, because I love it,
and
I've loved it for a very long time.
Thank you so much.
I'm interested in this discussion because to me, I've said before that, sometimes when people talk about don't identify themselves as a feminist, sometimes to me it's like, it's like saying like, I like cars, I think they're great, I use a car every day, it gets me from place to place, but I'm not going to go on record and say that I think cars are good.
Right.
But that being said, this discussion, this media discussion about who is and isn't a feminist is yet another example of the media attempting to divide us, to take us and split us apart and argue among each other, right? So it's like, she said she was, she said she wasn't, now she's mad that she's not, and she made her one. It's just bullshit, which is just like, it's yet another attempt for us to talk shit about each other and for people to bait you into saying, what do you think about so-and-so? And it's like, well, first of all, it's none of my business what they want to say or do. That's what feminism is. And also, what you believe or say at 20 is different at 40 and different at 60. And I think we need to continue as women to constantly celebrate what we have in common and share and stop letting this society focus on how we're different. It's really frustrating. So yet again, the topic of feminism is another example of people co-opting it, taking it out of our hands, and we have to kind of take it back. And so that's my thoughts on it. You could tell that I was really riled up on that.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much. Now, your book is full with all this, life wisdom. Do you have a life philosophy or something, some motto that you live by? I mean, one of the things that I was really intrigued by was this notion in your book of surfing your life, which, my life's going through some ups and downs. That makes it sound kind of almost fun, enjoyable. Yes.
If you know how to surf.
Well, which
it would be terrifying.
How does one surf one's life?
Well, the thought being that a planted foot is like, a planted foot will never grow. But, and I want to point out that short people are better at surfing, so whatever, no big deal. But just this idea of finding your center of balance and then realizing that nothing gold will stay, as they say in The Outsiders.
Yes.
A movie that you young people should check out. But just that the sooner you realize that everything changes, that the things that happen to you are not you, and that everything will be different all the time, that you have such little control over the next wave, then you'll just kind of stay in the moment, find your gravity and be open to what's coming rather than, just don't turn your back on the wave. I mean, it's coming no matter what. You can't hide, can't hide from it. So face the waves and just, try to catch one and ride it and know it will end. And then another one will come. It's an extended metaphor. And just get rock hard abs.
I love that. No, you're very wise. No.
Thank you.
You also, your perspective, things were never handed to you. You actually worked really hard to get where you are. I was just wondering what advice you would have for young people, whether they're in the entertainment industry or just in general. Was there one piece of advice that was offered to you in your career that was helpful, or what would you say generally about pursuing your dreams?
Oh, that's a good career advice is tough because it's very specific, right? Like sometimes you want to hear someone go like, you know what, fuck everybody and just do your thing, and then other times you want to be like, no, you need to get along better with everybody. Yeah. You're not easy to work with. That's your problem. You're too into yourself. So, what is my career advice? My career advice, I think, is just do the thing. Don't talk about the thing. So, whatever it is, do it, and do it as badly or as well as you want. But just keep doing it. But try to avoid spending. Commit to as much time doing it as you do talking about doing it. And that might just get you somewhere, would be my advice. And then, if you're a creative person, just get used to not having any money. Like, you just have to not have any money. You just have to be okay with not having any money.
Good point. Yeah. In the book, you also write about this very transformative trip that you took to Haiti. which led to you becoming an ambassador for the Worldwide Orphans Foundation. There are so many different causes and, celebrities attached to different ones. What was it about that cause in particular that struck such a personal chord for you?
Well, it was because I met the face of it, who's this amazing woman, Dr. Jane Aronson, who runs it, who's an ex-pediatrician and just this badass. And I came in through her, and like most things, they have to feel personal in a way, or else they just feel giant. Mm-hmm. And the orphan crisis, right? That feels like an ocean. Mm-hmm. Feels like, how do we even, And then, like any social cause, you just meet some people who are doing some things, and you realize, these 40 children are different than they were a year ago, and these 250 will be different if I do this fundraiser, and then, maybe by the year's end, 1,800 children will have this, and it suddenly becomes a real thing and not just this giant idea that you wish could get better. Mm-hmm. I did just get excited about it because I saw the good work up close, and also just because I live in such a fucked up place. I live in fucking Hollywood, and it's fucking crazy there. And it's my industry is bananas. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's so superficial and full of shit, and it's truly, really like the moon. Mm-hmm. And I love every minute of it. Tina and I will be hosting the Golden Globes in January. It'll be a night of glitz and glamour, and one you'll never forget. So, so it was nice to just be reminded of the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. And, I think there's nothing wrong with giving your time and energy and money for very selfish reasons. Mm-hmm. If it makes you feel good, great. If it, I would say in the book that we should just say that, like, if you give money to charity, like, your ass gets tighter. We should just say that. We should just say, like, doctors have shown, like, if you give $10 to this thing, like, your skin is better. Isn't that weird? And everyone's like, well, okay. It's like kale.
Well, I actually hear that a lot I interview a lot of celebrities who give to causes, and it's always amazing to me how, people think that that's the purpose of, fame and fortune, but when a lot of times you get there, one of the most fulfilling things they find in their lives is giving back, so that it is this fulfilling.
Yeah, and everybody, I'm sure there's so many people here who've had experiences, right, with stuff where they've interacted with some kind of attempt at social change or some kind of thing, where just being outside of yourself, you know, just for one fucking second not thinking about yourself. Yeah. It's a relief. That's why children are so wonderful, because you care about something other than you, which is like, you spend, when you're an adult, you just spend so much time up your own ass. Yeah. And just to have something that just like feels like, oh, this is like a human connection and means something is again, it's a selfish feeling. It makes you feel good, There's nothing wrong with that.
So one more question, and then we're going to open it up for some questions from the audience. Now, this is the last season of Parks and Recreation, and I was really struck. You talk about working on that show as being this like idyllic experience. How do you feel about it coming to an end, and also what's next for you? What's left on your bucket list to do?
I'm so sad that it's ending, truly. But it's a privilege in television to get to end something on your own terms. And our show it has been the little show that could. Every season we were like, are we going to come back? So the fact that we have a finale that we get to write, that Mike Schur, the creator, and I are writing this week together, that we like get to send off these characters in a way that feels like, that's awesome. I can't believe the show was on for as long as it was. It was like a dream job. And I will miss the people very, very much. They're the best chosen family yet. But I am creatively excited about doing other things, because I have played the same character for a while, and people do think we're the same. And we're not, as evidenced by my dirty mouth and my cynical nature. So I'm producing and directing and writing and hopefully. But as far as another television project, I think I need to take some creative sorbet before that happens.
Creative sorbet.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, before I dig in. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the next phase, whatever that may be.
Well, I think I can speak for everyone. We're all excited about whatever will come next for you. We will
Thank you.
all be there with you.
Thanks, Marianne.
So now I think we're going to open up to some questions.
We have an open mic if anybody wants to ask a question.
Oh, an open mic, which is someone's going to just do a tight 10.
Hi, Amy.
Hi.
I was just wondering, because obviously comedy can be a very difficult thing to pursue and very uncertain. I was wondering if there was ever a backup plan for you, maybe when you were in Boston or Chicago, something else you could have seen yourself doing, or did you just always know you were going to make it happen?
Well, I think once I started improvising, I thought, well, maybe I could, if I don't get any parts, maybe I can teach improv and be a waitress. And sometimes I actually dream about still being a waitress. I was a very good waitress. And I liked it. I liked the feeling of cashing out at the end of the night and my work being done. And I liked the interaction with people. And I liked being in charge of my section. And I did. I liked the multicultural kitchen and the affairs with the valet. But so I think now I can't really imagine maybe doing anything else. But I don't know, man. It's a long life, Like I think I write in my book that you should treat your career like a bad boyfriend. So just your creativity is like a warm Hispanic lady who makes food for you. And she hugs you and she tells you you're beautiful. That's creativity. That's what you should constantly search for, is like, what makes me feel like a beautiful woman is hugging me to her bosom. But career is like a bad boyfriend. He never calls you back. He flirts with other people in front of you. He's never going to marry you. He's never going to leave his wife. Just you get over it. You're never going to get love from him. You're never going to get satisfied. So creativity is what you should always search for. And career, if it happens, great. But, he will only be interested in you when you ignore him.
Hi.
Hi.
So I agree that Kate and Adie and Vanessa kill it as Hillary on SNL, but can we dream of seeing you as Hillary meet you as Leslie on some sort of Freaky Friday episode of Parks and Rec?
That would be so awful if I did some kind of split screen, or even worse, like a sweaty, running back and forth, changing my own wigs. Yeah, that sounds terrible. No, sure, yes. The answer is yes.
Hi, Amy.
Hi.
I just want to say I'm such a huge fan. Starting from the beginning of Parks and Rec to the most recent season, you see all the women in the show and all the male characters as well, have grown so much, especially, April, Ann, of course, and obviously Leslie. Did you know when you first started Parks and Rec if these characters were going to grow this way, or did
No.
they grow as you wrote them?
They grew. There was when Chris Pratt, for example, who started our show and was not a series regular, and he played a character, Andy Dwyer, who when we first see him has 2 broken legs and is living in a pit. And now the character of Andy Dwyer is, as you'll see, I don't want to give anything away because we flash forward, but he's doing much better. And the actor Chris Pratt is saving the world, as he should. No, I think that I didn't have any sense of what it would have, if you had told me to make a blueprint of my life, I would have stopped at my successful college improv group and be like, I think I'm good. This is great. So these things that have happened are certainly things that I haven't pictured, but in terms of Parks, I think the writers did a really nice job of constantly letting the characters evolve and grow, which I think is why I like to think why people watch the show. And yeah, and I think it's really cool and satisfying to end each season knowing that you've gone somewhere, you've got to act different things rather than reset every episode, which I could imagine would be boring.
We have time for one more question over here.
You've always played, hi, how are you?
Hi.
You've always played the funny mom, the drunk mom in Mean Girls and Baby Mama. Are you funny with your own kids? Are they funny with you?
I don't know if that Mean Girl's mom was drunk as she was cool. I don't think she drank very much. She loved to serve drinks. But I think she was kind of a teetotaler. It's right. Everybody thinks their kids are really funny, hopefully, and it's really cool. Kids are they really just keep you in the present moment, right? They just, you're like, this is happening next Tuesday, and they're like, is it today? Then I'm not interested. And it's a good lesson. They're just like, are you ready to play with me right now? And it's like, right, yeah, the present moment is all we have. And young kids remind you of that all the time. But yes, they're really funny and great kids, great boys. And it's awesome to get on the floor with them, for sure. And we have lots of jokes that would be so boring if I told you.
All right, well, thank you, everybody, for coming. And, of course,
Thank you, guys.
Amy.
Thank you for coming, everyone.
We really appreciate it.
Hi, over there.